We've looked at the left side and the top side options, and now we're going to be looking specifically at some of these combine tools down here. These tools can help you make more advanced shapes and can be used to make more intricate designs. Most of these are only available when you have 2 or more layers selected. So to demonstrate some of what these do, we're going to bring out a couple of basic shapes here. So I've got a stop sign, and let's bring out this star as well. I'm going to change that color so that we can clearly see the star. And so when I layer them on top of each other, just like so, we'll shrink that star down just a little bit. And if I drag over and select both, which I can either do by clicking and holding so that my box hovers over both, or by clicking on both in this menu here while holding shift. So if I hold shift and select both, you can see that a lot of these options down here are no longer grayed out. The most commonly used is slice right here. And what that's going to do is take my 2 objects and split them into multiple parts. So I still have my star. I can click and drag that out of place. I'm going to also have a black star that has been cut out from our original octagon shape. And now I also have my original octagon with the star shape cut out of it. And if I had changed that order, if I had placed a larger star and a smaller octagon, and done the exact same thing, so select both, hit slice, it will take the octagon shape out. So the cut is cut out of the bottom layer. Slice basically takes the top layer and slices around it, leaving the bottom layer with the top layer cut out of it. So in that case, layering really does matter because that influences what your end result looks like. I'll go ahead and go back a couple steps here. Back to where we have just our star and octagon. And I'm going to actually adjust that placement just a smidge. There we go. With both selected, we can also look at our combine menu. And the combine menu offers a bunch of different tools. I would encourage you to take some time and play with these. But the 2 that are most commonly used, the first is weld. And weld says merge these together and don't keep the layer. So it just takes multiple objects and turns them into one single stuck together object. And so since those fully overlapped when I weld them together, I just end up with my octagon. If we had a couple of pieces that were sticking out, like so, when I weld these together, I've now got 4 objects selected, and when I weld them together, it reduces them all to one, and I can no longer go back in and change any of the individual pieces. If I move them, they all move together. And if I resize them, they all get resized together. If you're unhappy with a weld result, you can do either use the undo arrows up here or use Command Z to undo and separate them back out. The Unite tool does basically the same thing as weld, except it keeps them as separate layers. So now when we come up here, I have my Unite shape. And if I click on the little arrow next to it, it opens up where I can see my individual layers. And then I can go back in and change those. So with one individual layer selected, I can adjust things. The last function on here that we're going to talk about in this video is the subtract tool. And the subtract tool basically does the same thing as slice. It's going to take away the top layer from the bottom layer and leave you with the bottom layer with the cutout. So in this case, since we had that star on top with both selected, we are left again with that octagon with the star cut out. And what is nice about the subtract tool is that can be used on multiple layers. So if we have this as separate pieces, we're going to make it a little bit bigger. And we're going to add in a couple more shapes. And make sure that they are wholly overlapping inside our design. And now when I use the subtract function, it takes away all of those shapes. So subtract more than slice can be used with multiple layers, and it leaves you with the bottom layer with all of those upper layers cut out of it. There are some other tools that can be used here. I would encourage you to play with intersect and exclude. Intersect leaves you with just the overlapping bits of a design, and exclude leaves you with just the non-overlapping bits. And I would encourage you to take some time to play with those, see how they can influence your design. The other tool that can be particularly helpful here is the flatten tool, and we'll show that off with our dog party head over here. So we have our dog's head with the party hat, and it is multiple layers. So if we go into it, we see that is about 6 or 7 pieces. If we select flatten, that's going to turn it into a single layer that is a static print then cut image. So just like before, I can no longer go in and change the dog's ears or eyes or the pieces of the party hat. That is now one single piece, and if I resize it, it gets resized as one solid piece. It is also now set up as a print then cut image, which is not going to cut out the individual pieces. It's going to send it as a PDF image to be printed and then cut around the image as a whole, not the individual ears or eyes or individual pieces.